Speaking of soccer in America, we have another retiree coming to play football.
Yes, sir. Troubled Manchester United star, and by troubled I mean he hasn't really fit into Jose Mourinho's plans. Bastian Schweinsteiger is set to be moving to the Chicago Fire. So this will, again, go in tune with what we've seen in the past. Andrea Pirlo, Frank Lampard, David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Nigel de Jong, Didier Drogba, the list goes on. There's several players that have made that jump. There is some in those that players you maybe have been felt could have given a little bit more at the highest level in terms of European football. I think in Bastian Schweinsteiger's case, I definitely think his best years are behind him, and I think this is a smart move for him. Coming to a team like Chicago Fire, who are in desperate need of talent. They had one of their worst seasons last year, if I recall, and they need some sort of maturity, some experience in there that do I think it's going to drastically change their outcome if you're just bringing in Bastian Schweinsteiger? No. If you're adding pieces, as I've always said, with that kind of expected player to come in, retirement home player-esque, you can be successful. There is examples of being successful at this, but it poses the conversation again, is this going to hinder or help the MLS in the long run if they continue to bring in just players who are looking for a quick buck to finish their career?
Well, that's what I was curious about. And look, I don't watch too much Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
I don't think that should come I don't think it should come as a surprise to anybody that those words are coming out of my mouth. Jason, you're supposed to watch all of the soccer. Well, man, there's a lot of leagues, it's a lot to keep up with. And to be honest, if we're gonna go by quality of play, I don't watch high school basketball either. And to be, I don't mean to be offensive, I'm just saying in the terms of quality of play, you cannot make an argument for the MLS being in the top 4 most watchable leagues in the world. It's not even close.
Yeah.
And I think this is a problem, not a solution. And look, even when eventually I think even Zlatan, when he's 38, 39, comes over to the United States, because he's kind of hinted at it, and I do believe a Ronaldo or a Messi will play a year in the MLS, maybe more Ronaldo, just because the money that would be associated with it and the draw it would bring. I don't think it's gonna help the product. You've talked about pay to play a lot, and that's one of the major issues. I just don't think you should wanna have necessarily these ex-superstars who are way past their, well, maybe not Schweinsteiger, but past their prime, because you're rooting for somebody for a year or two. Like, what makes you a sports fan?
Yeah.
A lot of it is just looking up to one specific player that might just be with the team for 10 or 15 years.
That's a perfect transition. I already had what I was going to talk about in my head, and that's the perfect ally to that. Simply because it's easier to rag on this consistent buying of older players to come in, but you got to look at the habits that American sports have fallen into over the years. Football, where I come from, is engraved in your blood. It's like a religion. You grow up watching it, regardless of if you don't have someone that you want to root for, that idol of yours. Everyone has one, but say for instance you didn't really find yourself associating with a specific player, you're still going to watch the sport if you grow up with it, because it's there, it's engraved. Whereas in America, when all these sports are kind of competing with each other, one of the biggest draws to a specific team or a specific sport is a player. LeBron James has definitely more fans than the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's just a simple fact. More people root for LeBron James across the country than they do for the team that he plays with. So when you look at that on paper and you're weighing up the business side of it, and you're like, wow, look at all those numbers of people turning out to watch the Cavs. How are we going to drive MLS sales up? Let's bring in a big name from Europe, even if he's on that downward spiral, the David Beckham effect. It worked for the Galaxy. So like, I'm not saying that this isn't something that works. It's kind of a short hit. I would see it as it's the New York Knicks approach to trying to get soccer popular in America. It's like, let's bring in a one-hit wonder. We'll try and, or someone who's got some sort of talent, some star quality. Let's see if we can get a quick hit, and then we'll worry about the future when the future comes. But then all of a sudden, you just fall into this habit, and the future is becoming further and further away. There is some examples of players that come in, which I think you have to highlight as the perfect example and try and emulate. Giovinco. He wasn't by any means on a downward spiral. He was a talented player, still relatively young, played in the Italian international team, thought that his career wasn't going where he wanted it to, so he made a decision. He came to Toronto, and he's been arguably considered the best player in MLS history at this point already, because of his talent and the way he's furthered his game out here.
And just the fact that he's been there.
Yes.
Like, I mean, the thing is, like, you can't. Beckham played how long, roughly?
But a few years in LA. Are you talking about in his overall career?
No, I'm talking in LA.
In LA, I think he played like 5 years.
5 years in LA.
Years.
But here's the thing though, when I watch these games, like even maybe not in Schweinsteiger's case because he's 32, right? But when you do watch, Villa kind of just coast around because it's not competitive for him. Yeah. It's a workout, it's training, it's jogging. It doesn't look all that hard. Granted, a lot of the professionals make it look easy. Yeah. Especially when you banged in World Cup game-winning goals.
If you're going to put the brackets of players that have done that, like Gerrard's in the bracket of, I think, looking just for somewhere to kind of wind down. Pirlo's in that bracket. Lampard, even though he did have some effect.
Pirlo could do it till
Pirlo can do it too. That's Pirlo's style of football. But players that kind of have made their careers on the energy levels, like Gerrard was everywhere. On the park. That's what his game was about. Lampard, box to box. So when they're older, like you can't try and tarnish them for doing this. They can't do it anymore in the Premier League. Lampard went back for Man City for a quick loan hit, and he did a relatively good job for them. He helped. But these players that are coming to the end of their careers and simply can't do it so much with their legs, like Schweinsteiger. Even though you mentioned Schweinsteiger's only 32, the guy has been playing since he was 16 at a high level. He came on the scene so young, was so talented straight away, Mr. Germany.
We're just talking about 3 years ago, he was a captain for the World Cup winning team.
Yes, he is a consistent performer, and the way his game was performed, very similar to that. He can't do it at an elite level in Europe anymore. I don't care if you start throwing examples at me. Schweinsteiger, in his own mind, will not want to be able to do that when he can't give it to the 100%. It's almost like a boxer who, they want to continue on. Their head's telling them, but their body's like, you know what, man, you're not going to be able to handle this anymore.
Boxers never quit. The phone just stops ringing.
Kind of underlining point that I'll always finish with this is it's okay to keep doing it. I'm not going to, because it's not. I'm not foolish enough to think that it's not going to continue. But what it has to be partnered with is promotion of young talent here. That's why I was saying that Jordan Morris shouldn't be moving elsewhere. I mean, he's not, in comparison to Pulisic, he's not anywhere near that level of quality. But when he first came on the scene, people were like, let's send him to Europe, let's send him here. No, you need to try and grow the talent here and further their game here. If they go to Europe and they further themselves and then come back, that's a win for the MLS. But just sending them off to just go and try and get better other seasons, it's never going to make the league seem a place that people can get better.